Welcome to the Self-Publishing School podcast. This is the podcast to listen to if you're an aspiring writer or an author who wants to be more successful. On this show, you'll learn how to write and launch a book successfully, all from the top authors and people just like you who are doing it at the highest level. I'm your host, Chandler Bolt, the founder of Self-Publishing School, the author of the book called Published, and the CEO of selfpublishing.com. For free training on how to publish a book that sells 10,000 copies, go to selfpublishing.com/free training. Hey, Chandler Bolt here, and joining me today is Brad Hart. Brad's been a friend for a long time, way back since my San Diego days. He is a longtime entrepreneur. He's the founder of a company called Build A Mastermind. That's buildamastermind.com. He's also the author of the book, The 8-Minute Mastermind, which Brad, I know we got a copy in vicinity for the people watching on video.
Boom. There it is.
Boom. Nice. And so he's the author of this book. He helps people create profitable masterminds. And so that's the subject of the book. That's the subject of the business. He's done a bunch of big stuff, was in wealth management back in the day. And his book has sold over 12,000 copies, which is fun. Self-published success story. So we'll get into that, how he did it, all that sort of thing. But fun stat as well, over $2 million in business generated from the book. And so we're just going to nerd out on successfully publishing books that grow your business in this episode. I got a lot of questions. Brad, welcome.
Thank you so much, Chandler. It's so great to see you again, brother. I don't think we've actually seen each other in person since before the pandemic. Remember that thing? I don't know. It feels like a while. So I'm glad to see you, brother. Thank you for having me.
That is crazy. That's crazy. Well, let's start with this. Why did you decide to create the 8-Minute Mastermind book? What sparked that? And how did you see it fitting in with your business?
Yeah. So great question. I've always loved to write, and writing is just cathartic for me. I wrote this morning, I try to bang out like 2,000-3,000 words, whether I publish it or not, whether it becomes part of something or not. Like, I just love to write. So for me, it's like the perfect medium to get out to people. And, you know, I love to converse with people on a deeper level than just little sound bites, and nothing wrong with the TikTok and YouTube culture and all that. It's just, it's not the way I prefer to express myself. I like to take my time and think through things and write them out. And that's, you know, I tend to attract more of the same. I've always loved to read, and I love that type of thing. So there's books all over my house. I'm just, you can see in my background here. So I've always been a geek on that side. So when it came to, writing a book, it had always been a dream of mine. And it was one of those things that was like a Google Doc sitting around for years that I just never published. And I finally just decided, like, listen, I'm not coming out of my office. I'm going to wear my bathrobe and slippers until this thing is done. And I just got into a mode where I would crank out 2,000-3,000 words a day. And I got over the hurdle by just hiring this really great editor. Shout out to Rodney. He's a freelancer out in Florida who worked with us on our first book, which was actually a compilation. It was just like a bunch of people in a mastermind doing a book together. And it was like my story plus their stories equal to book. I was like, this is really cool. This is really easy. This is really fun. It took all the nitty gritty detail work and design work and like what goes where and how do you put this together and actually make it a book off my plate. So I could just do the thing I loved. And it was joyful, which is writing. And concurrently, I've been a mastermind geek forever, a personal development geek, but mastermind specifically. I've joined 50 plus masterminds. I've started 24 of my own. I started one of the largest ones in San Diego back when Chandler and I lived there. We had 550 people in this thing, which is awesome. It grew at word of mouth for over 2 years. And I've had them from free and invite only up to 100,000 a year. I've helped dozens of people hit the 7-figure mark now with their masterminds. It's really cool if you hit the 8-figure mark. And I've helped thousands and thousands of people launch them through various things. And it all started with this book, right? It started with this book called The 8-Minute Mastermind. So why did I write that? Why did I call it that? Well, the 7-Minute Mastermind was taken. No, I'm just kidding. I really wanted a great title. I really look up to guys like Tim Ferriss, the 4-Hour Work Week. And, I knew there needed to be a number in there and it needed to be meaningful to me. And the 8-Minute Mastermind thing started from the hot seat, right? The core unit of value in a mastermind, in my opinion, that sets it apart from all the coaching and all the group stuff and everything that is not a mastermind is the hot seat. It's an opportunity, if you don't know what it is, to be facilitated in front of your peers and ask questions and supported and find out at the deepest base level, what is reality currently for me right now, so that you can make a new decision, create a new plan, take a new action and get a new result. right? Because you can't read the label from inside the bottle. You need clarity to move forward. And as I got better and better at these hot seats, I would like get them down to like 10 minutes, 12 minutes, 8 minutes felt like the sweet spot where we could at least get 100% clear on what was actually going on lovingly as a group so that we could then maybe support people and give them suggestions and connections and whatever else they needed to move forward with their mission. And that became the core thesis of the book. It's what I teach. It's what I help people facilitate and learn how to do. And it really became like this movement. It's been a really incredible thing. People all over the world have read this book that I've never met before, and they're out building masterminds now. So it's a really wonderful thing that I get to be a part of.
That's cool. And I think there's great lessons there of when you've done something over and over again. In your case, you're coaching people through the process, you're helping them start masterminds. There's just a lot of clarity in the content that needs to be covered. And you've explained the concept a bunch of times and then had people ask questions, had people trial and error. So it clarifies your writing before you even start writing. I guess when you initially published the book, was it, you knew, hey, I'm going to build a book funnel, all that stuff around this. This is going to be a direct lead into the business. I'm assuming that was the intention from the start, or did that just kind of happen after the fact?
Yeah, it was weird. I kind of backed into it. So you remember when mastermind.com came out with the big launch and they did, Tony and Dean and all that. So I had launched my Build a Mastermind program 6 months prior to them launching. So the timing was, I see Dean at the gym with his wife, Lisa. They were dating at the time and we're catching up. He's like, hey, I'm doing this thing with Tony. Really cool. And then nothing happened for a while. And then I reached out to him like, hey, I really want to be involved with this. It sounds cool. And because I had heard from a client of mine, AJ Mirzad, shout out to him. He's in Thailand now. I had heard from AJ that they're calling it mastermind.com. Like, I don't know what this is. I don't know what you guys got planned, but I got to be a part of this. I'm the mastermind guy. This is like right up my alley. So I'm bugging Dean. He finally responds and I get involved. And long story short, I end up partnering with them. I ended up becoming a speaker for them. I was an affiliate first. I came in 24th the first year, 8th the second year out of 5,000 affiliates. So that was pretty cool. So we did this big, huge launch. The second time around, we went even bigger, except it happened right on the cusp of the world shutting down. So it didn't go as well as planned. So I had all these dreams of like, hey, I'm going to be speaker for Tony. I'm going to travel the world. I was getting trained to do that. And we were like doing all this and we're working with it. We're doing the workshops at the big offices here in Scottsdale. It was like, all this stuff is happening. I get to work with my heroes. It's just so cool. And then the world shut down and they went all virtual and he built this big, beautiful sound studio and he's reaching 800,000 people and 1 million people and all these different things. But all the speaking and analog type stuff just went out the window. So I was left with like, okay, I know I can do it. And I know what the best in the world are teaching. And I know what I've learned from teaching a ton of people. My program works. I've got great case studies. I've had a lot of people build masterminds and add 6 figures, sometimes 7 figures to their business. It's been a really transformative thing. Like, what can I do to now separate myself in the marketplace? And when I got really clear, it was like, I needed to write the book. So I launched this book in the middle of the pandemic. And what was working for me in that moment was I knew what a free plus shipping offer was. I was friends with Brian Delaney, who built Jeremy Miner's funnel and built it to 7 figures with his NEPQ black belt questions and sales stuff. So I kind of had a framework. I knew it worked. I had the book. I knew exactly what I was going to sell and I launched it. And believe it or not, like I'm not a great Facebook ads guy. I can do it, but it's like, not my core competency. I was getting $3 for every dollar I was spending front end. So think about this for a minute. If you find a machine where you put $1 in and $3 comes in before you spend any more money, before you have a sales call, before you even have an enrollment conversation, before you sell a high ticket product, you're going to look in your couch cushions for change and spend as much money as you possibly can until that's no longer the case, right? Because that window of opportunity is closing. So I think it was like a convolution of all these different things. Like, people are scared. They're not spending money. It's the middle of the pandemic. They're looking for a way to go online and do group stuff. I did all that and it was just crushing. And eventually it became break even. Eventually it cost me money. But on the back of that, I was able to build a crazy list and sell all these books. And I was just spending money as fast as I could to make it happen and to reach more people. And then, 45 to 90 days later, you'd be getting the people starting to enroll in your program. And that's how we did the back end plus the events that I did with Jay. So that's like the short story. I'm sure we could dive into the details about more how that happened. That was kind of the confluence of events that brought us to do it. And had the world not shut down, I wouldn't have been in a position where like, oh, my plan just went out the window. What am I going to do? And went and did something I never did before. Cool.
Wow. Great story. Love it. Talk to me about, well, I guess I want to ask some more about how you sold a lot of these books. It sounds like a lot through that funnel.
It was mostly ads. There's some, affiliate stuff. We were on John Lee Dumas's podcast, a bunch of big podcasts that moved the needle, sold a lot of books. We did a lot of promotions, partner promotions. We eventually did events, off the back of that. But I think the main thing that sold the most was definitely going on podcasts. talking about it, having a really clear link, 8minutemastermind.com. And I can kind of break down the funnel for people because it's actually generated millions of dollars. So it'd be a helpful place to start. But if you just go there, the first thing you get is not the book. You don't get the pitch. There's nothing to buy, right? It's just, here's free value. Here's 3 things. I give them 101 questions to ask as a mastermind facilitator, right? So it's just easy value. You can go and do a hot seat right now. I give them 50 example hot seats and I give them a cheat sheet. So they can go and start doing mastermind stuff right now without the book. And then on the next page, you can get the book. So what am I doing there? So I'm adding value in advance. I'm asking for an email just to secure, right? So I can follow up if they don't grab the book right away. And I'm giving them a no-brainer offer. I think it's $6. I'll ship it anywhere in the world, which I'm losing money on just because I want to get it in their hands and they'll actually read it. And then we follow up with the middle of the funnel and so on and so forth. So if you're looking to launch a book, that's a good place to start. It's a proven funnel.
Love it. And so talk to me about what works so well about that funnel when you're running ads to it, getting a 3-to-1. What were the strongest pieces?
So it was the 2 pieces I mentioned, and then there would be an upsell. So you could one-click upsell to the challenge, which we had already published prior to that. So that was like a quick, easy hit there. I think there was another upsell, which was the offer creation domination, because you got to think to yourself, like, what are the things people are going to most want and struggle with discreetly and also together, right? Because you can't just do a kitchen sink offer as a small thing. You need to like really specifically pick a small ticket item that you can actually solve their problem and get them value. Because it's one thing for somebody to buy. It's one thing for somebody to grab the book or have it shipped to them. It's a whole other thing to get them consume and apply, right? Buy is the first step. It's the hardest thing. But then the next hardest thing and where the money is really made and where the relationship's really built and the trust is really built is, did they consume my content? Right? If I can't get them to consume the content, I'm dead in the water. So that's my next thing. And we also had a downsell that I forget what it was right now off the top of my head, but this funnel's been through many iterations. So back then it was something different than what it is today. And with this new book, I'm going to revamp the whole thing again and create like cool AI tools that are going to help people spit out an offer in 30 seconds. Like they could put any half-ass prompt they want in there and they'll have an offer in 30 seconds. I've got like a really cool market research training, a really cool sales training. So like I'm just giving away all my best stuff up front with the hope that they actually consume some of it. Because they do, they're going to get results and it's going to be gold and they're going to be like, oh my God. And they're going to want to have a conversation. And that's really where the rubber meets the road. It's like, I don't care about losing money on the front ends, right? I've learned from guys like Joel Marion, who built a $100 million business with BioTrust. He's like, if I can go in the hole for a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, and you can't, that means I get your clients, right? It's like, how much can you spend on the front end to acquire great leads, nurture them, and then ultimately be profitable on the back end? So I don't really care about the book. The book is a lead magnet. It's a business card. I try to, keep people, like people are like, oh, get on Amazon bestseller. Like, I don't care about any of that because I want the relationship, right? So I'll spend what it takes to get it. And as long as it makes sense, I'm going to keep doing it.
Cool. It makes sense coming from your, I guess, finance background.
Yeah, I think in numbers, right? I can't help it.
Yeah, exactly.
Most people are not going to start there. I think you start with write the best MF and book you can possibly write. And then it's never done. Here's a really cool tidbit, which maybe you guys already are on track, but that book I've rewritten 4 times because I would get feedback from people and I would learn new things. And I would go back to it and be like, oh, there really needs to be a little section about this, or I could add a bonus here or whatever. Right. So every year I'd rewrite the book and call it expanded, updated, revised, whatever. And since I was ordering print copies from KDP and shipping them to a thing, I didn't have to order more than maybe 500 at a time or 1,000 at a time to just keep ahead of the next couple months or whatever it was. So I would just do that. And I would rewrite it every year with my editor and be like, oh, let's tweak and change and update it. So every single year it was getting better and tighter and more capable of like, bringing people through. And then I learned about like narrative storytelling and the hero's journey and this arc that we can take people on. So it's like people are getting to know me and my struggles and what I've gone through and connect with that on that level as well, in addition to the really great content. So it's kind of a full package. But if you're not thinking of your book if you think of your book as like, I finished, it's done, and now it's just out in the world, I think you're missing a huge opportunity to continue to make it better.
Yeah, I agree with that. So let's kind of break down this funnel a little bit. So you're running ads. You're also going on podcasts, doing affiliate promotions, all kind of like traffic sources leading to this funnel. Then on the funnel, you said, hey, you've got your landing page, and it's before you even get the book. Here's some free resources. Here's a mastermind cheat sheet. So purpose of that, we're capturing leads. Now that's lowering our cost per lead. Obviously, you could do a 2-step on the book if you wanted to, but capture leads. Then it sounds like from there, they're going to the thank you page, which is a delivery of the lead magnet. And I would assume also a 2-step for the book. And that's a free plus shipping right there.
It's actually straight to the free plus shipping offer with the resources being sent.
Delivered via email. Smart.
Correct. And then there's like a banner up top that says, hey, it's going to take 5 or 10 minutes to get your email. In the meantime, here, go order your book next.
Perfect. Okay, cool. So you got to
keep them in the funnel, right?
Yep. Got it. And so then when they do that, is there any sort of order form bump?
Yep. So there's an order form bump. I think, again, this is going back a few years. Originally we've tested like 5 or 6 of them. Originally we had something like, it was the audiobook that really crushed. So it was the audiobook read by me. And I think we charged, I thought my funnel guy was crazy. I didn't build this by myself. I had a great team, Hawk Mikado, if you Hawk and Kate, they're great. But they recommended I sell the audiobook for $47. And I'm like, $47 for an audiobook. That's nuts. But people bought it. People bought it a lot. Like they were more happy because now they had the book and they could read through and they could listen or they could go back and forth. And for whatever reason, that just worked way better. So
and it was just strictly the audiobook?
Strictly the audiobook and like some extra resources and stuff. I think there's like a virtual masterminds cheat sheet or something like that. I forget exactly what it was. But the point of the story was I learned that you need to meet people where they're at from a consumption perspective, because some people want to read, some people want to listen, some people want to watch a video, some people, they like podcasts, whatever it is. Like it all works. And once you have the book, it's a lot easier to create the other assets, right? Because now you already have all that. It's like you did the hard thing once of like, scripting it all out and formulating it and making it proper. Now it's much easier to like, hey, I could do a mini course like what Hormozy did. I mean, he crushed it with that big launch where he's like, here's my book and you can buy the book and you'll get the course for free. And even if you don't buy the book, here's the course for free. And, he does all YouTube videos and everything. He has the money to do it, obviously. So it's not for everybody's budget, but if you have the one asset and it's starting to work, 100%, you need to leverage it to other, visual, kinesthetic, audio. You need to hit all the different modalities there.
Yeah, I agree with that. And for folks watching, listening at home, if you go chapter 23 in my book Published, and then go to page 186, we've got kind of a whole breakdown of all the funnels and stuff, free plus shipping funnels, all that. You can walk through kind of more of this stuff, order form bumps, upsell pages, OTOs, all that stuff. So we'll jump back into the funnel. So we've got the one-time offer for the audiobook plus some bonus resources. We've seen that work really, really well as well. Now I'm assuming we're going to the one-time offer, and that's where you said
you said 21-day challenge.
21-day challenge. What's the price point?
So it was normally a $97 offer. We did it for $77 if they bought it within the funnel, right?
Okay.
And then the goal with that, again, it's 21 days broken out of like, here are the steps to build a mastermind. It's literally like me. I filmed it all in one day. So don't think it's a huge thing. Like I wrote it in one day, I filmed it in another day, and I delivered it, and we sold thousands of copies of it. And the goal is not, again, to make money. It's just subsidize the cost of running ads. So the goal of that is give them one action item every day, 1 to 2 slides to look at, a little bit of content, a little bit of teaching tool. Maybe it's 10 to 15 minutes that day, and then go do this thing. And oh, by the way, if you want to accelerate your progress, if you want to talk to us, if you have questions, book a call. Every middle of the funnel piece of content is booking a call. It's establishing social proof. It's giving them value. It's book a call. It's like everything that we are doing is call related. And we were generating calls from the book. We're generating calls from the podcast. We're generating calls from the challenge. We're generating calls from any middle of the funnel content. Its only job is to build a relationship, add value, and book a call. Because ultimately there's people who are going to DIY and they're never going to be your people, and they're never going to invest beyond what they already did. And then there's people who are like, hey, I just want to work with Brad. I want to go faster. I want to cut through all this stuff. I realize that, I need to just focus and invest time, energy, and attention resources, because A, I don't know what I don't know, and I want to fill in the gaps of my knowledge. And B, I prefer not to waste time, energy, attention, and money. I prefer to invest those resources into people and systems and proven mentorship and a path that's like, tried and true. I need somebody to hold my hand and walk me to the promised land. And that's what we do. It's simple.
Cool. Love that. So 97, discounted to 77 if they buy it on the spot. And I think you said there was one more right. One-time offer, number 2. That was like the offer creation or something.
Offer creation domination, baby. So the number one outcome of that, and we've even made this better. Now I can literally send you a link where it's like, put your idea for a we call them a hypothetical offer document or an HOD. So put your hypothetical offer idea in here. Like, I want to make a mastermind for self-published offers. Bam. And it'll just go through my whole rubric. It's been trained on all my content and knows exactly how to do it. It'll spit out like a 2-page perfect offer that you can start with. That's 90% there. And then you just modify, tweak, and learn from there. So like, I can have you ready to go to sell your offer in like a minute. It's awesome.
Yeah. Cool. And what's the price point on that?
That one was, I think, 197. We've tested
197.
And the lesson I kept having to learn over and over again that everybody has a little imposter syndrome. I was like, are people going to buy this? And actually, not only did they buy it more when you raise the prices, they bought it more often and they were more satisfied. It was the weirdest thing. Like the more you charge for whatever reason, up to a point, like after 497. So I'll make a little detour here. So if you're going to sell in a funnel as a one-click thing, anything 497 below can work. Like if you're good enough to sell it and it's a product people actually want, they will buy it. Above 497, you really get into webinar or VSL territory, up to maybe like the 2,500 range. After 2,500, unless you're like Ryan Levesque or somebody's really, really good, what's his name? The guy with Sedona, Brian, I forget his name. Anyway, unless you're really good, above 3,000 or so, you're gonna have a lot of trouble selling without a phone call. And after that's like phone call event territory. Like that's where you're going to get into, 3-day events and one-on-one sales calls. So like just knowing what you can sell 500 and less in a funnel with the one-click upsell or whatever is helpful, right? Because it'll give you a parameter. Yep. But I want you to test every price point within that $0 to, $1 to 497, like test everything. Cause you just don't know, you might raise the price and you get better conversions. It's wild. I don't understand it.
Or you might double the price and get 25% less people take it, which is still positive, right?
Net positive.
Yeah. And so after that, are they going to the thank you page after OTO number 2?
You don't get to the thank you page until you've seen everything. Yeah. You get 2 upsells, a downsell, and then you go to the thank you page. Unless you just click no, then you go right to the thank you page.
I see. Got it. So then there was a downsell after that, and then there was a thank you page.
Correct. Yeah. And even on the thank you page, it's more free content. It's the training. It's this. Again, I want somebody to consume something. That is where the rubber meets the road. A buyer is 15 times more likely than somebody who opted in for free to buy something else. That's great. I want them to buy something, but even if they don't buy something, as long as they're in the funnel, as long as they're consuming something, as long as they're getting some value, I get a second bite at the apple, right? What you don't want is they saw an ad, they clicked around, they didn't do anything, or they bought something and they just never looked at it. That's the worst. And then you get refunds and you get, upset people charging back and stuff like that. That's not what I want. I want people to have a good experience. They want to come away with a good feeling. They want to get some sort of value, even if it's just a quick skim and, I got what I need and I'm off to the races. Awesome. That's a good transaction.
Cool. What was your average order value? I know this probably, fluctuates over time and depending on media.
It was
like that.
I think we got as high as like $140 at one point. It was pretty high.
So 140 at the highest per
and then probably
purchaser.
In like 70 to 80 was more sustainable long term. Yeah.
Okay, 70 to 80. Yep, that makes sense. And then what was your cost per, because I'm assuming you're looking at 2 stats. Your most important stat is like your cost per book claim or your cost per book.
That's what purchase. I was really tracking. That was the one thing that kind of ruled it all. So in the beginning, like I was saying, I was getting 3 to 1. So it was awesome. That didn't sustain. That was like for the first month or 2. It started to trickle down, eventually break even. After a while, I was comfortable selling $50 books, meaning I would pay somebody $50 to buy my $6 free plus shipping offer.
Hypothetically, right? And just for people listening or watching, I mean, you're not literally paying $50. Well, you're literally paying $50. You're not paying them $50, right? Correct. You might have
Facebook or Google or YouTube or whoever, right? I'm paying that much money in advertising so that somebody will buy the book for $6. And then I lose money on shipping. I lose money on all that. I don't know what my actual cost ends up being, but I'm still like, that model can still work within up to that number. If it got to 80 or 100, it would stop working as well.
Do you remember what your average like CPA or cost per acquisition on the book purchase was?
Yeah, it was probably, I started getting a little bit more, I would start spending less when I was at 50 and I would go back to the drawing board. I try to keep it under 50. So I never let it get above 50 because that's where the model started to break down. Because, a certain number of people have to buy books before you get a certain number of sales calls, before you get an actual buyer. And you got to recognize we're in the most inflationary period in modern history. As far as the United States is concerned, they've printed 4 times the amount of money that existed 20 years ago. So everything eventually needs to catch up to that. So even though the market is quadrupled, even though real estate's quadrupled and pricing's quadrupled, it's like you got to realign your perception of what things cost so that you're not going on old numbers. So even my numbers from a few years ago are not relevant anymore. I'm willing to spend more, but I also have to raise my prices. I have to charge more so that everything makes sense, right? It's just a numbers game, but you have to be ahead of that. You have to really think of it.
That makes sense. And so then it sounds like, you're better than break even on the front end, self-liquidating through that funnel. And then I'm assuming the back end, like you said, all roads lead to book a call. And then the book a call is selling some sort of high ticket offer.
Exactly. It started, the beta was at 5K. We worked it up to like 8. We're up until recently, we were at 9,800. That's where it was for the longest time. And now we just kicked it up. We expanded the offer. It's more like a scale your coaching business type of offer. So masterminds are a component of it, but there's, AI tools now. There's a full suite of we call it Panda Dash. It's like a go high level label, which is like your entire business in a box. That alone saves us 30 grand a year. It's like we've added a bunch of really cool stuff, bells and whistles, bonuses, 1-day workshops, 3-day events, all that great stuff. So that's a full bundle for 15K.
15, 50 or 15?
15, yeah.
Cool. Love it. Okay, awesome. And so there it is, folks. That is the $2 million book funnel.
Yeah.
And so I guess I'm curious what I would assume, let's say, hey, 2 million from that funnel. I would assume probably 2 to 500K of that is maybe even less than that is the self-liquidating. And then the rest is the back end.
Yeah, great question. So I don't have those numbers broken down exactly. I'm just strictly speaking about the 2 million in sales on the back end. So I don't even.
Oh, cool, nice.
I don't even talk about that. So like, I would say 1-to-1 sales calls we sold about 800-900K, and then the rest came from events because that's where it really took off. So quick detour. I did 4 events with my mentor and former business partner, Jay Fizette. We just went on a tear, did a bunch of events. It was great. We sold about $1.1 million off of that. That was a larger ticket, but it's both of our stuff together. So they were paying more, but they were getting more. So that contributed quite a bit to the revenue. So now my model going forward is like book funnel on the front end with other stuff too. I'll continue to do other stuff, but that's like the main driver. That's why I wrote the new book, and that's why it's coming out in January. So if you get on this list now, 8minutemastermind.com, you'll be notified when that launches. That's out to the editor. I have another meeting next week. I'm really excited about this. This is the best book I'll ever write on the topic, and the last one I'll ever write on the topic, because I'm only working with 750 more clients, and then I am done. Dunzo. Want to move on to other things. You got to have a period at the end of the sentence. I'm a punctuation nerd. But the long story short is now I know what works, right? So we got the one-on-one thing, we got the groups, we got the challenges and the funnels, and like all this stuff works, the events work. I'm just putting it all together in the best possible format after having done this for almost 7 years in this particular iteration and more than 20 years in business now. Like I know what works. I'm just going to go do it. And I'm going to make it the best I possibly can. And my goal is to make 5 million within 3 years on the book by the book itself. So I think given our success with the first one and knowing what we know now, absolutely possible to do that.
Cool. I like it. And so, interesting. I think what I love about this model, and for people listening, watching who want to replicate this, is that you're self-liquidating, or at least close to it, by the time they even book a call with your team.
That's right.
And so it's essentially free customer acquisition, because you're breaking even on the book. And then not to mention, you're getting a ton of leads who don't even claim the book. That's right? So, I mean,
we do affiliate and other offers.
100%. But then even just those people who drop off after the first free piece, I mean, that's like not even factored into the equation, but essentially thousands of free leads on that as well, maybe even more than that. And so I think it's just really interesting model for people thinking about it. And this is what I love about book funnels is you're adding so much value at the start. And I mean, I would be curious what your experience is, Brad. I know in my experience, my sales team loves when people get on the phone with them after they've read the book or bought the book.
It's a layup.
They're like, these are the best prospects. Yeah.
And so you think about it this way, gang. You're in business to help people. The more ways you can help them and the deeper you can help them before you even talk to them, like that's the dream. There's no convincing. It's just, how does this look? They have a few questions and they want to buy. That's it. And we're throwing a lot of numbers around because numbers are easy to track. But think about the impact here. There's thousands of people out there now through self-publishing school, through Build a Mastermind, through all these different places. There's thousands of people out there now that are helped because we do what we do, right? It's a beautiful thing. And I get to work 5-10 hours a week servicing and supporting clients. Like I actually still work with all the clients. I do the hot seats every single week, like clockwork. I haven't missed in 6 years. It's like, it's a blessing. It's a gift. And I spend the rest of my time with my family, with my wife, traveling, working on the business instead of in the business. It's a great thing. And I don't even need to do it. It's what I love to do. It's what I love to do. And I'm as good as I'll ever be. I'm as young as I've ever been. And I just want to go out on a bang. I really want to pass this along. And I jumped at this opportunity to speak to you because I feel like so many authors get into this for not the right reasons. So they haven't thought it all the way through. They just don't understand. They don't know what they don't know. They're like thinking, oh, I want to write a book so I get more speaking gigs. Okay, why? So I can get more clients. Well, why even you don't need that necessarily. Or I want to write a book so I'm an expert. Or I want to write a book so I can become J.K. Rowling and make $1 billion and have freaking Queen Victoria, give her a run for her money or whatever. I don't know. Like whatever reason you're doing it, understand that the book is not the business model. The business model is the business model. The book is the lead in. And it works. So if you start treating it that way and just you start like shifting your perspective of what's possible, if you ask the average author, like, would you spend $50 to get somebody to buy your book, even if they don't read it, they would say, no, take a hike. That's crazy. Right. Mm-hmm. But when you shift the model, you start realizing, oh, that's just the beginning. Now the whole thing opens up for you.
Mm-hmm. Love that. Book is just the beginning. Right. But I think that's a good place to end, Brad. I'd say, a couple final questions. One, what would be your parting piece of advice for people thinking about going on this book and book funnel journey, knowing what you've know, knowing what you know now? And then the last question would be, well, I'll ask the last question.
All right, first. So advice, everybody's got advice, right? And I can only speak from my experience. It's not where you start up, it's where you end up. If you can just keep getting a little bit better every day, like 1% better every day, after a year, it's not addition. It's not 365% better. It's 3,778% better, right? If you got that kind of return in the stock market, you'd be pretty thrilled. So I'm just saying commit to being 1% better every day. And I do that by just writing a lot. I try to write every day. It's something that calms me. It's something that soothes me. It's something that inspires me. It's something that allows me. I don't even publish most of it, but I just love it. And one day, I will have written 1 million+ words or some crazy thing. And maybe I have already. I don't know. But like, the point is to do it a lot and you'll get really good at it. So whatever you're committed to being better at, just do it a little bit better every day and you'll get there. That's my advice.
Cool. And Brad, where can people go to find out more about you, to check out the 8-Minute Mastermind book, et cetera?
Yeah. So you can go to buildamastermind.com and check out our program, a little more about me. You can see me and my wife and, our little family, and, understand what it is. There's a bunch of great content on there. You can watch a webinar, you can do all that good stuff. So if you're interested in what we do and, a mastermind would be a great fit to add onto your business, or you have a mastermind, but it's not optimized the way you want it to be, we're here to help. This is what we do. We do it all day. I believe we're the best in the world at it. And then additionally, if you want to check out the book or the book funnel, and you just want to make a case study out of it, like Russell says, go into funnels, pull out your wallet, see how it's done. And you're going to save a lot of heartache and time and energy. You can go to 8minutemastermind.com, grab your book, and you'll also be on the list for when I launch $1 Million Masterminds early next year.
Coming soon. We might be cooking up something together here on this.
Let's do it, baby.
I love it. Well, guys, thanks for being here. Brad, thank you so much for being here. If you're interested in getting started on your book, book a call with our team, go to selfpublishing.com/talk. We'd love to chat with you, help you with your book. Brad, you're the man.
Much love, Chandler. Thank you, everybody. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you so much for watching or listening to this episode of the Self-Publishing School podcast. I know there's so many places that you can be spending your time. There's other podcasts that you could be listening to, YouTube channels that you could be watching. So thank you so much. It means the world. Now, I want you to do 3 things right now if you found this episode helpful. All right, number 1, I don't know if you know this, but we've got a YouTube channel. It's a companion channel to this podcast. All the video versions of the episode are on the YouTube channel. So number 1, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Number 2, if you're listening to this podcast wherever, whether this is Spotify, Apple Podcasts, number 2, I want you to subscribe to this podcast right now so you don't miss a future episode. And then number 3, this is probably the most important, leave a review on the podcast. All right, reviews are super important and help the podcast get discovered by other people. So number 3, leave a review on the podcast. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next episode. If you're on the fence about scheduling a publishing consultation call with my team, maybe you're not quite ready for that, I've got some free training that I think will be really helpful for you. All right, all you have to do is go to register to sign up. Go to selfpublishing.com/free training. When you do, you're also going to get a free digital copy of my new book published. And on that training, you're going to learn the next steps, so how to implement with your book. So how to write, how to publish, how to launch successfully. So go to register right now at selfpublishing.com/free training. I'll see you there.